we go.
Hold on, let me see if I can.
Hey, everybody. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Blue Self-Reliance. Good to see you.
I'll wait till a few people go in. I just want to see if the notification went out. Hey, Blue, your greenhouse looks amazing.
I know it. I'm excited. Excited for that.
Let's see here.
Hey, Broke Cowgirl Homestead. Good to see you.
Hey, Gwen.
There we go. All right, I got everything all muted and we're good.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, no, not yet. So weird. Last week it went out right away. Now it's like we're waiting.
This huge delay.
And I'm being rude. I'm eating.
Notification.
Hey, Suburban Hillbilly and Dale. Good to see you.
Hey, Ann Dale. I know I got to follow Ann Dale. How am I going to follow last week's live? That was a great one.
Wasn't she awesome?
I'm like,
Ann Dale's like, she's just a
I got
friend.
to follow that?
Yeah. So everybody, we have Amanda with Bare Bones living with us today. Thank you for joining us, Amanda.
Hey, Don Raby.
Oh, we did that like totally together. That was awesome.
The twinsies. Can I explain why I'm eating?
Sure.
Real quick before we get into Amanda.
Yep.
So if you were on our live last, I don't know why I'm yelling. I'm sorry. If you were on our live last week.
You're just so excited.
I've been crying all morning. It's terrible. If you were on our live last Friday, we talked about the missing horse in Wind Cave National Park. Well, they found Finley alive on Tuesday morning, and I just found out about it this morning. And so that's why I'm eating, because I've been crying tears of joy this morning.
Oh, you can hear it in your voice. You're still so shaky about it.
I'm just so grateful she found him.
Great.
I know. That's so awesome.
You know, I used to ride horses when I was younger, but when you love an animal, and the long story short is this was a Mustang she got a hold of. She built a relationship with him. She got him to the point where he can be ridden and handled and put a lot of effort into him. Mm-hmm. And she didn't give up. She would not give up. When she was told no, she found other ways. And they had helicopters, drones with infrared. It's only 10,000 acres. I know that sounds like a lot, but really in the scope of things, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. She searched on foot for days without a horse to look for him.
Wow.
Just an amazing story. So I share that. That's why I'm eating, because I am just super happy for her. And it just goes to show you good things happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome story. Hey, MB Heritage Farms, Jamie's Country Living, Ark Wildman Survival, Vineyard Checks. Good to see you all. Foxholler Homestead, thank you all for joining us. And Mickelson Family Homestead, good to see you. 10,000 acres, wow, that's a dream. Yes, it is. Right?
Yeah, no, I don't want that much.
No way, that's way too much.
No,
thank you.
You just let nature have a lot of it's what you do, but you don't. You know that there's not going to be tons of public citizens out there on it. Or
yeah, sure.
Yep. And Broke Cowgirl said they found him 9 miles from home, and they found Finley by the south entrance of the park, which is where they entered. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, they had been concentrating their search in the woods and stuff, because they were worried he fell down a ravine and stuff like that. So Kelly Mickelson Family Homestead, I posted on my community page.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Pebbles. Cool.
Hey, Coalitas Creations. Good to see you. So, Amanda, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your channel and what you guys have going on over there?
Oh, yeah, sure. So like she said, I am Amanda from Bare Bones Living. We are a family of 5, my husband and I, and our 3 boys. They are 5, 3, and 1. Ooh. Our oldest is about to turn 6 in June. And last year, we moved from the suburbs of Chicago, where my husband and I are from. And we moved down to Eastern Tennessee, and that was a feat in itself with small children. And at the time when we left Illinois, my baby was 5 months old,
Mm-hmm.
give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so our family of 5 and our dog and 6 chickens, excuse me, at the time, 6 chickens and umpteen number of potted plants and like all these things. Moved down to Tennessee. My dad moved down here also. He was able to find his forever home. He's retired and wanted to, just live the retired life. And he found his forever home, and we did not. And my son was going into kindergarten, and I'm like, we can't like move away from our roots and not have any, like, my son needs to go to school in August. All these other things. And I'm like, the only way we can get, like, this has been like our 5-year plan to move to Tennessee. This is where we wanted to be. And so we ended up moving in with my dad, a family of 5 with these chickens and dogs and all this other kind of stuff. We enrolled my son in school, and like the whole time not having our own house. And then we enrolled my son in school, and I was like, well, we have to first find our own house. And I wanted to keep my son in that school because I kind of wanted him to have, consistency. And especially as a new kid to school, he never went to like preschool or anything like that. So he was like brand new to school. And so we ended up living with my dad for half a year. No, we moved in July, and then we bought our house in October. And now we were able to find our forever home. We ended up buying 23 acres.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And it was so insane because we were trying to, this has been like our 5-year plan, just to narrow down the logistics of trying to move your family from one state to another is one thing.
Oh, yeah.
The logistics of trying to then find a school to put your son into that you've never put a child into school before. And then to like get all of our stuff, since we were moving in with my dad, we had to put everything into pods, live out, like we had to we only took with us like the clothes on our back kind of a thing, because we're like, how long are we going to be there? We packed all of our other life away into pods. It was just like insanity. And then we had to find a house in that market. Like the market was absolutely insane. People were asking like $500,000 for.
So was this last year? Oh my! So we were right behind you. We moved from Arizona to Missouri, and it was my husband and I. But then my daughter, and it's
right, and then she was about to have a baby, right?
Yes. And traveling from Arizona to Missouri, it took 3 days, 2 nights. I mean, it was something.
Don't you look back at it and you go,
and
A, how?
Yes.
B, why? Why did I do this to myself?
It was awful. I mean, the move itself was awful, and we didn't. We have one video that I've never shared, and I don't know that I will, but I took some of it. Anyhow, it was something. It was not a whole lot of fun. Like, I think there was half of us wanting to strangle the other half of us.
I'm laughing because I have a friend, a rancher, who's about 90 minutes north of me, and he moved from Maine to
South Dakota.
South Dakota. I almost said the town. I'm glad I didn't do that. Anyway, the point is, he moved with chickens,
Uh-huh.
ducks,
Uh-huh.
pigs,
Oh my word.
because he had them and the opportunity came up, and theirs was during the height of things going on in 2020.
Yeah. Hey, Milk and Honey in Lori's World.
And so they left a state that they felt was not taking care of their best interest
Uh-huh.
to come to a state that they felt was.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of how we were going about
I feel like that's kind of the yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, you don't make a move like that just because.
Well,
You don't.
you want to know something? Well, Ryan was out here in March of 2019. We bought our house, finally closed on it, January of 2020. And so I had been home in North Carolina, and this was before everything started.
Mhm.
Well, then I drove out because thankfully had moving trucks. And, it was one of those things where you're sitting there and you're like, this is really far. And then we got out here and everything hit the fan. And I was like, I'm so glad I was no longer in North Carolina. I love North Carolina, don't get me wrong. But
Mhm.
with all of the closings, if you will,
Yeah.
that was not what I wanted to deal with.
So I was saying this has been like our 5-year plan that we wanted to do this. Before we even had kids. Like I said, my son's about to turn 6. So I guess it was our 5-year plan. We've been here almost a year now, which is crazy to think about. But my husband and I are both nurses, and we worked in the city.
Oh, I
of
did
Chicago.
not know that. Cool.
Yeah.
You have a whole other perspective.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah.
So we were nurses in the city, and then we decided to go back to school and become nurse practitioners.
Uh-huh.
And we got married and had 2 kids while we were in school.
Ooh.
Oh my
Our
goodness.
second son was born weeks after we graduated.
Ooh.
And then 2 weeks later, Chicago went on lockdown.
Okay.
And it's just like we were essential workers. We had to go back to work, all these other things. I have brand new babies, like all the things when we were like, we need to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea how you did that with babies because
I don't either.
I have
I
a
don't
master's degree in social work,
Mhm.
and I have my licenses for mental health and addiction. And
Mhm.
I've always been considered essential, believe it or not. They always make us work. But
you should be considered essential.
right.
Well, the funny this country?
I'm sitting there and I'm hearing you talk about going to school and doing all the things you were doing. Like I did it. I had a teenager when I started my education because I was older when I went back. But by the time, I got my master's, he was old.
Yeah. So we have a total change of pace now. Like,
wow.
We're so happy with our move. We happened to find this perfect house for us, and they were asking a lot of money for this place too, that we could not, like, every place that seemed like it would work for a family of 5 and have land and stuff like that was like double what we could afford.
Right.
And people were just asking it because people were buying houses sight unseen.
Yeah.
Because they
coming
were fleeing
from
New York.
California, like just people that have got, I'm like, where do all these people have all this money that they can just pay cash and buy it sight unseen? And then a couple weeks later, you'd see it back up on the, up on the MLS because they came and saw it and didn't like it. And I'm like, it was so aggravating.
It was hard. It was hard. We
And
were
so like when
looking.
we found this place, it was just like, we can't afford this either.
Mhm.
And I think it was enough past like the craze that this place didn't get like just taken so fast.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we lowballed him. We dropped it by like $100,000 because we're like, you're out of your mind.
Mhm.
That's my husband
And-
on everything.
And so he wouldn't even like talk to us, and it stayed on and all this other kind of stuff. And so we came back to it, and then, you know, it was just like all these other things, but it was like so meant to be.
Mhm.
And we found the perfect land. And now that we've been here, this land is like totally virgin land. The people that own this bought it, cleared it, put the house here, did all the things. They were only here for like a year and a half before they sold it. And unfortunately, they were affected by COVID-19, and he actually lost his wife,
Aw.
this was her dream. And
Mhm.
so he just didn't want, you know, to have all this without her.
Yeah. That would be
So you know, his incredible loss was our gain. And but they had not gotten any of their like gardens started or anything. So it's just raw land. There's no barns, and there's no garages, there's no gardens, there's no nothing. So everything that we have currently, we have started ourselves.
Wow.
And it has been a ton of work.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We still have a ton of work to do, but I am floored at what we've already done here. I thought about making a video of like our first 6 months, because now we're like 7 or 8 months here.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Oh my
been
gosh.
so crazy.
So you were moved in what month?
We closed October 7th.
Okay, so we were here like middle of September.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
We were literally
Weird.
going
Yeah.
through the same things. And my daughters, my grandbabies are 5, 3, and the youngest will be 1 in October, which is so funny. Like the same
That's
age.
so funny.
It
Yeah.
is. Mm-hmm.
David Gray had a question.
Hey Lee, show me Lee.
Um,
Let's see, where's his question?
it basically, the hospital that I worked at was the bioterrorism hospital of Chicago. And yes, its population density is 100% what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And for us at our hospital, we were the bioterrorism hospital of Chicago. So we got a lot.
And I'm shaking my head because I'm in South Dakota, where the population is spread out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's spread by droplet and things like that. So if you're in close proximity, you sneeze, you cough, that just dissipates into everybody else's face, and that's how it's all spread. So it was all population density.
Sorry to hear about your mom, suburban hillbilly.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
For anyone who doesn't know, so last week, I Go For You was our friend Lee. He changed his channel name to Show Me Lee, because Missouri is the Show Me state. So, yeah, he does a lot of fishing, a lot of tips and tricks that he shares. Hey, Anita, Nordic Drip Coaching, good to see you.
So Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about like what your goals are for this year?
Well, I actually did a goals video a couple months ago, but I guess I could give you a little Cliff Notes version of that. And it's basically just becoming more self-sufficient here on our land, because it is totally virgin land. I have to get my garden started. I wanted to start all my perennials because there's none started. And so I started a food forest. I'm starting my garden. We have 23 acres and about 15 to 18-ish acres is wooded.
Mhm.
And we have quite a bit of deer. My husband tried to hunt this year, but our woods are really thick and unknown to us at the time. There's still parts of our woods that we have not, or that now I haven't, he has gone through. And he didn't have time to go set up like a tree stand or anything like that to hunt. So he was like guerrilla hunting in our woods.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it in Arizona a lot. It's a lot just walking around and figuring out where they go and then being there the next early morning or early evening to catch them.
No, Gwen, it is not fenced. And that is something that I wish that it could be. But that would cost me $1 bajillion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have 2 acres and it's too expensive.
Yeah, it would cost so much money. And 2, there's a lot. I live on the Cumberland Plateau and I have 2 ponds and a creek on my land.
Nice.
And I just don't know how much. I don't know that it could really be fenced logistically, like everything. The ground is very uneven and things like that. But honestly, I don't really feel totally secure on our land because of random dogs that come onto our property.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And we have game cams around our property for my husband's hunting and just to see what's out there. And we've caught bobcat and coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really so scared of the bobcats and coyotes. I'm scared of other people's dogs coming onto my property.
Oh.
And I have young children.
Agreed. And there's this thing, I mean, at least from my time in North Carolina, rural Western North Carolina, there's a lot of stray dogs in packs running around in the South.
Dogs scare the daylights out of me.
Let me tell you, they caused a lot of issues in North Carolina. And you would see them, because we were in Spruce Pine at one point, which is a Tennessee border county, Mitchell County. There would be packs of them laying on the sun on the side of the roads. And it's like, they would go after people. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But the fences aren't going to stop that unless you have whatever fence you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't. It's not fenced. I wish that it could be. My husband and I were talking about possibly just like kind of fencing our immediate yard just for a little bit added security, for a little bit of peace of mind. Like, I know it's not going to stop like a huge pack of dogs or anything like that, but like one-off dogs and stuff, it would just give me a little bit more security. But yeah, I don't like loose dogs.
Yeah. Someone had a question. Lee had a question. Here it is.
Yeah, I responded to Lee. I think it tastes the same. Purple asparagus and green asparagus.
I think
I started asparagus. I started some purple asparagus and some green asparagus. I've never grown asparagus before, and all of it came up, and I'm really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. My food forest. Hey, when you say food forest, so did you go out into the forest and start growing things out there, or?
No, I heard you talking about that, how you wanted to grow into urban
because
forest.
I do, and I found the lemon balm. I was going to do a short, and I haven't done that. I have such a busy week gardening. But yeah, there's already some growing out there, which is so exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. No, what I'm referring to is like kind of like a permaculture-esque
Uh-huh.
orchard
Mm-hmm.
slash perennials, annuals, things growing on different levels. So I have like
Uh-huh.
nut trees that are like going to be my tallest plants.
Uh-huh.
And then I have like standard fruit trees and
Mm-hmm.
dwarf fruit trees. Then
Mm-hmm.
I have shrubs like
Mm-hmm.
berries and elderberries, raspberries, blackberries,
Mm-hmm.
cherries, cranberries, those kinds of things. And
Mm-hmm.
then ground level, I'm planning on bringing out some like comfrey and chives and
Mm-hmm.
strawberries
All
and
perennials.
asparagus and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really wanted to get my perennials going
Yeah.
because, they
Yep.
all just take so long to get
Mm-hmm.
anything with. And then eventually when I have more time, I'll probably start moving out some annual things, but
Yeah.
I assume that that's going to take me some time because just initiating this food forest, all we have is grass. So to get rid of grass, it's like fighting the devil. It doesn't die.
Yeah.
And it's just like an ongoing thing. So all my trees, I just kind of dug out a hole and it's still overrun with grass and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but my perennials have started and
Good job.
I'm
Mhm.
hoping that like as we were planting in one day we planted I think 17 trees and like 9 bushes or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And like my husband and I are like drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
We have our baby monitor on our front porch like cranked all the way up to 1,000,000 so we can hear if anyone's like screaming dying in the
Mm-hmm.
house. And I'm like, 10 years from now, us is gonna love us today.
Right? So
And he's
true.
like, whatever you say, dear.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't been thinking about it like that. So I've been planting perennials and annuals all at the same time, and just kind of focusing on what I want to have and what seeds that I have to be able to
Mhm.
get
Right.
there. You've got me thinking, man, you really organized your thoughts on this one. I have like,
Well, I've been planning this a long time, honey.
yeah, I've got tomatoes growing where my comfrey is because it's supposed to be really, they grow well together,
Mhm.
and marigolds and garlic like everywhere, like
Yeah.
because for pest deterrence. I
And
know I'm going
comfrey
to
is
have
a great fertilizer.
I'm growing comfrey, so I haven't
I think
decided
grow
where.
comfrey everywhere
Yeah,
because
well, I
the
heard it's
leaves when
gonna
they
go
dry.
everywhere, so I'm kind of thinking, where do I not want the comfrey? So I'm trying to be careful. I've planted in my rose beds, and I did so much gardening by last night or Sunday night. I told my husband after we were both done because he did a bunch of yard stuff. I was like gardening, a second day of gardening outside all day. I told him I'm like, my gosh, I feel like somebody just borrowed my body and just gave it back to me. And I'm like, did you take it to the gym or what? Because I felt like I
Like you've
felt
been
like I
run
had a
through a
full
ringer,
body
your body's
workout.
just like a big piece of jello. You're like, I can't even
Yes,
move.
yes, I am still sore.
Yeah. Who
I'm
needs a
laughing
gym? Go
because
buy a farm.
Ryan and I have this.
Yeah.
We've made a pact, right? So we have been going since May of 2020, like crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
The two of us were working on the weekends and evenings. We were doing stuff here, building, all that stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We're done with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
we Ryan keeps saying as we're working on stuff, he's like, why didn't we do this when we were younger? What the heck is wrong with us? But
I
But
anyway,
that's really funny because my husband was just saying he's like when we were out just this weekend working on the food forest and he's starting to clear land in our
Mhm.
forest so that he can actually like set up a
Mhm.
hunting stand and he can actually shoot and not hit a tree and
Uh-huh.
like all this other kind of stuff. So and he was like sweating. He's like, we're so dumb. Why didn't we wait like 10 years and our kids could be out here and they would be free labor? And I was like, yeah, but then we would be 10 years older too. I don't want to do that in 10 years.
No,
In
yeah.
10 years, I want these plants to be feeding me.
Yeah.
The other joke he has is he will sit there and he will say, he goes, "We're not building anything this year, but I'm my wife's employee. So we are building a second greenhouse. We are building this, we are building that."
I am so excited for you with that.
Yeah. Well, David Gray, I'm in my 50s, so I'm not far from you. But no, it's just funny. We no complaints. We laugh, but we've just decided we're not going to be diehards like we were because we were killing ourselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and
Burnout
one of the
is
things,
real.
yeah, and one of the things that we've just decided, like, you know, the second greenhouse is almost done, which is golden. Because I just said to him, I'm like, look, I got all these amazing starts, and I got nowhere to put them because they're not all going to fit in the one.
Yeah.
So they're either going to go, or we need to get the greenhouse going.
Yeah.
So luckily he got the raised beds in the one greenhouse, and we've got the second one almost done.
Awesome.
Yeah. And my poor garden, I've been working so hard on it, and like nothing is planted in it because I've been battling this grass. I'm doing half of it in ground, which I've never grown in ground. I've always grown in raised beds. And just for like the nostalgia of it, and just because I like it, I was like, I have to have some raised beds. And so I built 4 raised beds myself.
Awesome.
And I just built them last week, and still nothing is planted. I have like 1 million plant starts in my tiny house, just waiting for something like just ground to be put in. But it's like, you know, we just gotta do what you can when you can, I guess.
Yeah.
At the middle, I mean, I made a 2,400 square foot garden in my front yard, and I'm using probably 2/3 of it. In the middle is the grass is coming back up, and I'm like, my husband's like, what are you gonna do there? I thought you tilled all this up, like. And I'm like, you saw how hard it was for me to like create what I've created so far. Like
those black fabric, the black garden fabric that they use, that's what you got to use.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy a silage tarp or something like that, and just put it over the middle, and just put a pause button on it, because
and then next year, maybe
I can't anymore. Like
look for an 18-wheeler tarp, and the reason why I suggest that is we have a friend who has a trucking company, so obviously we had easy access, but he had Corner Clubhouse Cobalt. He had a tarp that was no longer good for his purposes because I think it tore by some of the grommets. So you know how big that is, right? For a flatbed 18-wheeler. We have put it on Norman's house to insulate it because it's black. We have covered hay with it. We have done a whole bunch of things with it.
So where do you go to find one of these things, Lisa?
Look on Marketplace, or you can put
because I also thought about, I've seen people use like old billboards.
Yep.
But I'm like, where do you find something like that? Because I went and I looked up a silage tarp for the area that I have, and it's like $350.
Put free on Marketplace, or I can tell you what a lot of people do here is they put ISO in search of.
In search of, yeah.
And they put it either on Marketplace, they put it on Craigslist, and they also put it in the local farm stores. Like we have Baumgars, which is like a Tractor Supply. And they will put in there in search of empty mineral lick tubs. So. Yeah,
exactly. I just don't know where to find them.
Living Traditions always uses them. They may have an outlet on their YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Because people use them for hoop coops. To cover them and stuff like that. We've never done that, but yeah, I mean, we found it's been great. That tarp has been super handy. And the funny thing is we don't leave it, like we lay it out on the lawn to get hot for a minute so we can fold it. because it's so thick. And we joke because we can't leave it out there too long because it'll kill all the
It'll
grass.
just kill the grass.
Yeah. Mountain Grandma, you look like you're having fun over there. I'm calling you out. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I just love you. That's why I said that. I have a question for you guys and for the people in the chat. So I have some leftover weed fabric that I'm going to use in the old greenhouse with the raised beds now. Because as we all know, manure, composted manure always sprouts up lots of weeds. Right. So our main garden, I've talked about doing that. And Ryan's concern is because our soil is so dry to begin with, and because our humidity is so low, he feels that the weed cloth is going to actually draw heat and dry the soil out more. What do you guys think?
So when we were in Arizona, I never used that fabric cloth or felt like there was there's so many things that you want to avoid. You want to avoid the weeds, but when you live where you're in such a dry climate, you want to avoid the dryness that you get too. So we would go the route of a mulch.
I was gonna say you might. I've personally never dealt with dry. Every place I've ever lived has been super humid. But I would think, mulching very heavily. Going more of the back to Eden gardening style would be very beneficial for you because that holds in all the moisture.
Yeah. And we did have, Katie's, my daughter's garden over on her property when we were in Arizona, they mulched a lot. And the last time that I had the garden, because last year I didn't really do a full-fledged garden because I knew what was, we were in the process of moving. But comparing how she was with how often she had to water, like we took notes and kind of drew a comparison. And had I been gardening there again, I would have been putting, they used wood chips over the top of theirs, and then they would just soak everything down really good. And it really kept in the moisture in the soil, also kept weeds out. And she had it set up to where a certain time of the year, well, for me, I use the natural shade of my house to provide shade. She didn't have that. So she was going to be rigging up like posts for hers had she gardened there again. But we didn't use the fabric because the dryness kind of outweighed the fabric issue.
Well, and what I've always found with the weed fabric is that it doesn't really work very well. And plants grow right through it, and it costs a lot of money. So like something like a more back to Eden kind of a method, mulching with adding organic matter a lot, adding your leaves in the fall, or your pine needles and all the wood mulch that you can come up with. That's just something that's going to continue building year after year after year. And for the most part, you could probably get it all for free. So I'm trying to stay far away from anything that I have to buy.
Yeah. The only thing is wood chips. If I get them for free, I'm going to get pine.
Yeah.
And it's too much pine.
So,
it's not like I'm going to find some oak trees, somewhere from Chip Drop or all that stuff. But they have.
I've not been able to get anything from Chip Drop at all. No one will come up here on the mountain.
Yeah.
So what we're going to have to do is we're surrounded by fallen trees and woods and all that kind of stuff. So we're actually going to invest in a wood chipper.
Yep. And that's what we do is rent it.
Make our own.
We rent it because we don't need it often. And so it's just cheaper for us to rent it for the day and ship it up because, with 2 acres, we have to get rid of brush and burning is not always feasible for us. But yeah, so here's the deal that Tammy, you'll laugh at this, and Gwen is in here too. She'll laugh.
Nona agrees.
So Ryan turned around and he goes, "Don't worry about the tarp. I'll weed." I said, "Could I get that on video?"
On tape. Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, I will weed." I said, "Good, because I'm not weeding. I will only do the greenhouses." I can't stand gardening because I can't stand the weeding.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anna said about if it rose to temperature. And I'm sure you're right, Gwen. But here's the funny thing I wanted to tell Gwen. We got this compost from this guy, and the reason why we went to him was
Thanks for coming, Suburban Hillbilly.
everybody says that they love this guy's compost for their plants, and that's why we went to him. Because Gwen and I had been talking about like the herbicides in manure when you get them, because it goes right through the cows and all that stuff. And so we'll see how it goes. But I heard it was really good stuff.
I was actually lucky enough to my neighbor let me steal her cow manure. Yeah. I was like, "Hey, what are you going to do with that big old pile of manure?" And she was like, "I don't know. It's just going to sit there until one day I spread it across my field." And I was like, "I'll take some."
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm trying to work on this year is our compost, because dirt is so expensive.
I've had like
$10 for a bag of dirt. It's crazy.
That's why we bought a load of compost, because I've been buying bags for the pots and stuff. And we knew that we needed to add soil to our gardens. We had to add soil to the pots. We had to add to the raised beds. We're going to go back and get another load. But this guy, for $30, this guy had a huge tractor and gave us 2 bucket loads. We had to go with the truck that could handle the heavy duty diesel we had to go with, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get anything on the other pickup truck. So
yeah,
we're going to go back and get more.
That's what I'm hoping to get this weekend. I made these raised garden beds, and I'm like, what are we going to fill this with? And so I have like, I've got my layer of cardboard down. I grabbed some tree limbs from our forest, and I threw a bunch of trees down in there. The grass clumps that I dug out of my food forest, I threw those all down in the bottom.
Yes. How tall are they?
How tall are what?
The raised beds.
They're made out of fence posts, so it's 3 fence posts or 3 fencing high. So maybe, I don't know, a couple feet.
So, hey Chuck, hey Smoky Mountain Blessed. You only have to use about a foot of soil.
Oh yeah. So I'm stacking it up as high as I can with decomposable things. We got a storm shelter placed, and he's like, "Do you want me to do anything with this extra soil?" I was like, "Turn around. You see that? That's my garden. I'm gonna just dump it all in there. So it's all just like filled dirt." And I'm just gonna fill half the bed up with, and then I'm hoping to go this weekend to get some topsoil mixed with some mushroom compost. And this guy is only charging like $50 for a truck bed worth. And I'm like, I think I can fill all my raised beds with that.
Yeah,
that's what I need.
That'll be awesome. What are you planning on growing in your garden bed?
My tomatoes, my peppers, and cucumbers.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have way too many plant starts. I have a problem with plant starts.
I know.
I cannot like just put 3 seeds of one variety into something.
I don't.
So I have like, I'm going to ballpark it, and I have at least a dozen different tomatoes started, and I have about 6 of every tomato plant. And I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah,
that's square foot
like when I planted each cell, I
might lose one when I like to do extra, because when I upplant them, sometimes I might lose one. So from transplants, and I had to upplant my tomatoes. I put some outside, some I just upplanted into another pot, because I'm like, where am I going to put these? Like I'm mapping out all of my garden beds and what I'm going to have in them. And I'm like you, I've got like 10 different kinds of tomatoes this year. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I know what's going to happen. And like, I've never used this size of a garden bed before. I've never planted in these garden beds before. And I know what's going to happen is I'm not going to have enough room for all these different tomatoes that I want. And I use cattle panels for my tomatoes, and I'm going to plant them closer than I probably should. And I'm going to alternate sides of my cattle panel so that I can plant them a little bit closer.
There you go.
Just so I can get them all, because I started all these tomatoes. I better get at least one plant of every tomato that I started. And
exactly.
I plant things pretty densely, unfortunately, because I have too many wants.
Yeah. I ended up with, and I didn't, so the multiple seed thing actually works for me, because there are a couple of tomatoes that I've got one that's obviously thriving more than the other one. I mean, I'm down to like 2. So, or maybe even 1 in some cases. I ended up with a lot of rainbow tomatoes. Like all of those did good. Yeah. So I'm either going to see if my daughter wants one of them, Lee and Maggie. I'll probably end up gifting some tomatoes to you guys if we end up with extras, too many extras. But I'm excited to see all of the different tomatoes that I get this year too. That's gonna
well, and it's late in the season for my area. Like I was like, whatever I have left, I'll just like put them out at the street and be like, hey, you know, whoever needs some, take some. But most of the people around me have started their tomatoes outside a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I still didn't even have dirt to put
what zone are you there? What growing zone?
We are 7B.
Oh, okay. We're right behind you. We're zone 6. Hey, heroic prepper. Good to see you.
I went from 5B to 7B.
Yeah.
Little different.
Yeah. I actually, when we were in northern Arizona, I was zone 6 there too. So I'm still zone 6.
Nice.
Just a more humid, damp zone 6.
Yeah.
Humidity, what's that?
Yeah.
I was laughing because when we were doing the greenhouse, I was like, I stupidly said I hear thunder and I hear lightning. Duh, I see lightning. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is great. We're gonna get some rain. 10 drops.
Dang it.
Yeah. First week in June here too, Nona Grace.
Well, my target is always Mother's Day, and that's what I did in Chicago. Not my peppers, but in Chicago too. I didn't plant out my tomatoes until Mother's Day, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything different than I have always done before, but my climate probably could have. But this weather's been so wonky that even people that around me that usually have planted out by now, they're like, we've had just this past week, it was down in the 40s overnight. And I'm like, yeah, they could probably, even if I had ground to put them in, they would have probably been fine. But why put them through the stress?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Gwen, I talked Ryan into doing it. That's how I get out of it.
Is that what he's doing too? He's going to torch them?
No, he's got the patience of a saint when it comes to that, but he doesn't have the patience working on projects with me. But no, I'm just kidding. He'll go out there with his little rake, like, tall rake, and he'll just sit there early in the morning and go weed. And I'm like, have at it, because I'm not doing it. I can't stand it.
Nope. I got little kids. I got to get out. I got to do what I got to do, and I got to get back in. I don't got time to be doing that.
I have no kids. Well, I don't have any little ones home with me, but
I used one of those torch burners. Holy cow! That thing, when I turned it on, I almost pooped myself. Those things are terrifying.
You have to be careful with them. I watch some YouTubers do it, and I am on pins and needles because using one of those here could set off a wildfire.
Well, yeah, you're in a very dry climate.
True.
Yeah. But the power that comes out of that thing, and it's so scary when you first do it. I mean, I ended up absolutely loving using it, and I burned a bunch of the grass that came back up in my in the middle of my garden and stuff like that. I was like burning all that. I was like, die, grass.
I'm trying to plant things a little, so companion planting and then planting things close together. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that helps minimize bugs and maybe
You
weeds.
should check. It's fun.
I mean, we'll see, but that's kind of what I'm doing. So we have some rose bushes that were out in front of the house from the people that owned this previously. The Arctic blast definitely took out one of them. There's another one that's coming back, and then there's another three that are alive. But even though they're alive, I still made use of that space and planted some things around them because I researched it. And according to my research, I can. Now we'll see how that works out. But the one that is like barely there, and I'm not sure it's going to live or not, I went ahead and planted some tomatoes in there. I needed another spot. So
Yeah,
I
that's how
did.
I am. I find some naked ground. I'm like, blink, plant
Yes,
something
I'm
else.
hoping like at least it's supposed to be there. So, you
Yeah.
get leaves kind of hanging over, maybe protecting from other weeds coming and setting in. I don't know. Well, I haven't had to worry about weeds a whole lot in the past, just because it was too dry or bugs. So that's going to
Bugs?
be, didn't have to worry about those much either.
I can't even find bees.
Yes.
I plant
Yeah.
flowers. I plant flowers in my
Yeah.
gardens to attract the pollinators. I've
Yeah.
got swarm spray
Uh
on
huh.
my hive. I got nothing.
Yes. I know it, Lisa.
It's like
And
living in Siberia.
it is. And when you grow zucchini, you get out there and hand pollinate them yourself
No,
because
those do well. How weird is
do
that?
they? That's awesome. I would actually have to take a Q-tip
Yeah.
out there and hand pollinate our zucchini to make sure that they got pollinated because I never saw bees. Now they're like everywhere.
Yeah. I never saw them either. It's the most bizarre thing ever.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah,
live in the middle of nowhere, so
that's where everybody
That's
wants to
another
be.
thing that I started this year. I started beekeeping this year. That's something I've
nice.
wanted to do for like 10 years.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Exciting. When are
Been
you
doing a lot of
thinking
things.
you have?
Ugh.
So tell us
I got
about your beekeeping. Like, I take it you put that at the back of the property and.
It's actually in the front. So my garden's up front, my
Mhm.
chickens are up front, my pigs are up front. Everything is out in front of my house.
Uh-huh.
My food forest is out front, but up on a hill. I wanted to use the hill as kind of like an aid to water things. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like in between my food for the apiary, that's a bee yard.
Mhm.
Is between my food forest and my
Mhm.
garden,
Mhm.
basically. Um, and I had wanted to do bees for probably a decade.
Mhm.
In the city, there's so many regulations on beekeeping. Like you could do it, but you had to like petition your neighbors. You had to like send a letter to everybody in your neighborhood. And which is ridiculous because bees will fly like up to 8 miles away to find pollen. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I'm not sending a letter to everybody in an 8 mile radius.
Bees
Mhm.
Um,
fly wherever they want to fly, and they're there whether you beekeeping or not.
right. And like another misconception is that people think that they're allergic to all bees, and bee stings are like, like anything else. They're not all the same, so I don't know which ones are similar or different. I'm still new to beekeeping, but just because you're
Thanks for
allergic to
coming,
one
Lee.
does not mean that you're allergic to all.
Mhm.
And honeybees are really not aggressive, at least in my experience and
Mhm.
from going to meetings. One
Mhm.
thing that I did do in January is I contacted my local beekeeping association, and I started going to meetings, and I was
Ooh.
so happy that I joined a
Mhm.
community
Mhm.
program because I mean, I was also scared of bees. Like
Uh-huh.
I have a healthy respect for bees. I don't want to be
Mhm.
stung. I know I probably will get stung. Nobody likes a bee flying at your face. The
Mhm.
reason why bees fly at your face is they're attracted to your carbon dioxide that you're breathing off. So
Mm.
that's why they always kind of come at your face. Um,
Huh.
but anyway, So I went to my beekeeping association, and they do monthly meetings, and it's a great, just to find people in your area, people that know more than you and all this other kind of stuff. And then I got my first bees in April, and then I got a second hive on Friday. So I have 2 beehives.
How
And
exciting.
one of my mentors actually just lives down the street from me. So that's where I get my bees from. That's who made my nukes, and
Nice.
it's been a great learning experience. Like
Awesome.
I've learned so much. I still know I need to learn a bunch more. One thing that I found out is that you don't get any honey in your first year, because those bees need that honey to weather the winter. But that's just, that's like another one of, it's like growing a perennial, you got to start somewhere. I am excited. I haven't seen, and I have like some potted plants, some potted flowers and stuff like that. I actually haven't. And because we have so much grass, like I was expecting to see my bees all over in our fields of clovers and stuff like that. I have not seen my bees anywhere around my house. The only place I see my bees is when I walk over and I see them at their hives. And I'm like, wow, okay. The only bees I see are carpenter bees. I hate carpenter bees. I don't even know what the purpose of carpenter bees are.
We had those in North Carolina, and they would do damage to the house. But one of the things that
they bore through.
One of the things we found were those traps where you put and you probably see them all over in the South, but those where you put like a 20-ounce soda bottle on them, and we hung them around the eaves, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, they're just irritating. They just buzz your head, and they scare the crud out of my kid. Yeah, they run right into you. It's like getting hit with like a rock or something. They're like, ah!
They're so clumsy.
Yeah. They don't sting. They just like pretend like they're gonna attack you.
Yeah.
But
we had meat bees in Arizona that would be around the lakes. So if you were down there for a picnic with KFC or anything like that, the meat bees would come after you because they want the chicken.
Oh my God.
Meat bees. And they live in the ground.
Oh.
Hang
Weird.
On. I don't know about this. Oh, we lost her. Didn't know about meat bees. There she is.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to, my husband, we always called them meat bees.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of bee they are, I'm really not sure, but
it's actually, well, I Googled it.
Mine too, Chuck. My dog loves to chase those carpenter bees. I'm like,
I Googled it, and they say they're not even bees, they're wasps. Isn't that wild?
Oh my gosh, it figures.
But I know what you're talking about. They're those big ones.
Wow.
Show us, Lisa. You got a picture of it?
Yeah, hang on.
And they live in the ground.
Trying to get it to.
Yep.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're mean.
And then so we started bees. We got pigs. I've never had pigs before.
What kind of pigs did you get?
Idaho pasture pigs.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Got 2 of those. Just got those.
Hey, where to begin homestead?
2 weeks ago, I think.
Nice.
It's been busy. It has been busy.
It is. When you move, you are just constantly moving in. Like, you know what I'm saying, Lisa? I know you made a long ways away trip to South Dakota too.
Yep.
It's like you're still, organizing, unpacking, fixing, repairing, building infrastructure for animals. And there's still so much to do. We have been making sure that we get some fun time in lately. But there's still work to be done. Do you know what I mean?
But you just butchered your first meat birds.
We did. We did. That was so awesome. Still so excited.
How did you pluck them? Did you
By
rent a plucker or
hand.
something? By hand?
I was the mother plucker.
If you get the water temp right and the scalding and the timing,
Yep.
hand plucking is easy to do.
Yep. It's
I
just
mean, don't get me wrong, it's more
time-consuming.
work, but you can do
Yeah,
it.
like it wouldn't take as many people and we could do more birds in not an enormous amount of time if we had a plucker. And Lee and Maggie, who show me Lee, him and his wife came over and she helped me pluck the birds, and she knows somebody who has a plucker. So we're going to do meat birds again in the fall, and she's going to make sure we can borrow that so we can use that for the chickens. Yeah. That way we can
We
get
actually
more.
raised 3 meat birds in Chicago, and it was not smart to do that because we ended up getting 4 Cornish cross with our chicks at one point. One of the babies died, and so we were left with 3. And I had like this little itty bitty hen house that you see like these little baby hen houses at like Tractor Supply, and you're like, you're gonna fit a bird in there. And we put them in that, and we moved them around our suburban backyard, and we were so repulsed by them because they're just fat, lazy,
filthy little things.
They fall asleep with their face in the bowl, and you're like, did you die? Or what? And
funny.
They remind me of a lab. Like they would eat themselves to death.
Yep.
Jabba. They poop like crazy, and we would like pull this like little hen house across our yard and just smear chicken poop around. And I'm like, I can't wait to kill these things.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
The one thing we did was with our pheasants, we have a plucker. We use it for the chickens and the turkeys. For the pheasants, we did not, because we were concerned it would tear the skin too much because of the small size of the birds. So we pluck them by hand, but it's just 2 of us when we butcher. And the 2 for the pheasants, once we got the scalding temp and the timing right of when to pull them out, just start plucking them, it went easy.
Yeah, trial and error.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, if anybody has any questions for Amanda or Lisa or I, put them in the chat. We are at the top of the hour, so we're going to be closing down here in just a few minutes.
We actually did not do meat birds this year because there was just too much going on. We said we would readdress it come fall. Like we might have like a second to actually think about meat birds. But this most recent, so I have of big birds that live in my front yard, I have 19 adult birds with guineas and chickens.
Have a great day, Dawn.
And then we got a bunch of chicks this spring, and I have 32 birds in my shed in a brooder. 32 babies in my shed. So things got a little wild this spring.
Oh, I understand. I think we'll have 40 something birds.
That's going to be
by the end of the summer for laying hens.
Goodness.
And then we have 50 meat birds coming.
But 18 of them, the newest
every single week.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. I'm sorry, Amanda. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Our newest batch of chicks, though, we got specifically for our sustainability flock. And so we planned on using them for their eggs and then dispatching them after, like a year or 2 years or something like that. Hey, Devin, what's going on, man? So I'm kind of, we hated the Cornish cross so much. They were so gross. And there
is like dressy chickens. I mean, there's other meat birds that you guys could try.
I know.
And we've been
I know. We definitely want to try it, like the Red Rangers and stuff like that. But
it's so nice to know.
They'll go back to Cornish cross.
Yeah.
We have had them. We love them. I can't stand Cornish cross meat birds because they're disgusting. They're like raising a million Jabba the Hutts. They're the
Yes.
best tasting birds
Huh.
Oh, really?
to die for.
I can't wait.
We raised royal gray broilers last year because that was what we could get in the store. The meat was chewier and not near as flavorful.
Really?
We had Red Rangers. We've raised Red Rangers. Don't get
And
me
you didn't
wrong.
like-
they're
You didn't like the
good,
meat? Okay.
but they're not like Cornish cross.
I heard that the
Good to
Red
know.
Rangers were like a fattier meat or a darker meat. Is that true?
The royal gray broilers were, and the Red Rangers were not as large as the Cornish cross, and they're a little. Ryan, would you say chewier? Chewier.
Huh.
We have decided for us.
Yes,
we
I
have
do.
decided
Yes, I
that
do.
Cornish cross is the way to go. It was the best tasting, and it's the quickest return for your money. Whereas the Red Rangers and any dual purpose that lays eggs,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they don't eat like the Cornish cross. But what ends up happening is you get to that spot where you have to get them before they start laying, or you're cutting them open and having to butcher them with eggs in them. So for us, the Cornish cross, because by 10 weeks they're good to go. The latest.
Yeah, the latest.
But they're gross.
At 9 weeks, we actually
They
had
are gross.
one that was not walking well, so we were glad.
Well, that's why we butcher sometimes in 2.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have 50 birds. 2 of us are not going to do 50 birds in one day. So what we always do is we start butchering with the largest and the ones who look like they're miserable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we process those. And if it's only 5 or 10, or that's fine. But then we do another batch and we just make sure that the little ones keep on growing.
Right. Yeah, we only had 3, and it took me and my husband 3 hours to butcher 3 chickens
It's all
in
right.
our garage in Chicago.
Nice.
And we're breaking so many laws doing this, but we're still going to do it.
Who cares?
Oh,
And that's
gosh.
where you moved.
Exactly.
Oh, did I say
Well-
that?
There's so many reasons, but yes, that's one. of them.
Amanda, it has been so fun chatting with you today. Is there anything you want to share about your channel before we end?
Oh, geez. I don't know.
So
I
everybody,
feel like I've shared so much. I don't
Yeah.
even know what I have and
go
haven't
check
told
out
you.
Amanda at Bare Bones Living, everyone. She's got so
Oh,
much
gosh.
going on over there, as you heard throughout this live. And Lisa, how about you? Anything you want to share for your channel?
Just stay tuned because Ryan's a genius. Let me tell you, I'm giving him credit because he built a second greenhouse for me. It's almost done. We've got to finish it this
Can't wait to
weekend.
see it.
But here's the kicker. It's a little different than most people would think, and that's because of some of our limitations. So I'm going to make you stay tuned for the video. Mountain Grandma saw it, Gwen saw it, but you guys are going to have to wait.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Because he really solved some of our issues and is making it work for me. So I'm excited. I can't wait to get out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Lisa and Amanda. It's been a great conversation today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you. Everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.